Started it the wrong way around. See if we can't get some people in here. We're going to discuss a topic here that I think is pretty important. While I smoke my cigar. Maybe we get some people in here, maybe we don't, but I'm going to try and cover it anyway. My phone's case fell off, so it's kind of difficult for it to sit on anything. Need something to set it on. Let's see here. Let me find something to set my phone on that's not going to slip around. My daughter's towel here should do fine. So let's work that. Let me open up the chat. Let me see. All visible messages, live chat. All right. So what I wanted to hop on here to talk about, just given the day that it is, it's Memorial Day right now. I wanted to talk about some things that I had starting off, some limiting mindsets, I guess, or lack of belief, I guess, certain things like that. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Man, this thing is, hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. But I wanted to cover some stuff that I think is really important. It's really bright out, so hopefully you guys don't mind if I wear my shades. And hopefully you guys don't mind the smell of cigars. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's never too early to start real estate, but it's also never too late, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I love for it to be a discussion with you guys as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll first, in case you're brand new to my channel or you don't know who I am, my name's Tyler Austin. I'm a real estate investor here in Northwest Florida. I came from, typical family, typical, beginnings. I enlisted when I was 17. I did 8 years total in the military. Got out. I was working for the government for part of those years, so I switched out of active, was in the reserves actually, working for the government at the same time. During that process, I started a real estate investment company that's become pretty successful in its own nature. I've also became a software founder, and I have a software product that has hundreds of users that are, being successful in real estate as well. But it's kind of interesting because hindsight's 20/20, right? We think about, we always think about when we're starting something like, is it the right time? And that's just, there's never really an answer to that question. Is there a right time or is there a wrong time? Because, time is subjective to the person. Obviously there's nothing ever better than the now, right? If you think something is possible and you know something's possible, believe in yourself and it'll be possible. And that's kind of just something everybody should live by. But I think as many other investors, I think, would agree on is that, if they would have started earlier, they probably would feel as though they're that much more successful, right? Because if you're successful now, that means you had it inside of you to be successful then. Maybe you just felt as though it wasn't the right time because of a new kid, you're working at W-2, you're in the military, active duty, all these different things. In my scenario, I was stationed in Minot at the time, really Alaska, back when I very first joined, and I was always interested in real estate. I was always listening, and I was always trying to, figure out how to do it. But I never really pulled the trigger because I always made up reasons why it wasn't going to be possible for me to be successful while, in the military. And it's such a limiting belief to have. A lot of guys, they think about, oh, if I get a rental while I'm in the military and then I get PCS'd, or then I gotta be away from the house and I gotta be managing this property. And that's true and all, but you don't have to be in your market, for example, to invest in real estate. You don't have to even buy rentals to be into real estate. You don't even have to be the subject matter that's there. You could just take money and put it into real estate. So there's so many other factors that played a part in me not pulling the trigger back then. A lot of it was financial intelligence, me just spending money on things that weren't even, assets. There were things like, me just buying, whatever the hell I wanted, whenever I wanted. I was broke. I wasn't, even though I had money coming in, it was always going away. I never had a net worth of a negative, of a higher than a negative value. And that's where the very first problem started. However, if I would have got started in a real estate, even then, and done what I did, the 6 or 8 years later after I had first started, I would have automatically, learned all the failures that I've had for the last, 3 or 4 years, and that would have all been over with now. And now I would have been there. See, it's never too early to start, because you can never be too early to be improving yourself and looking forward into the future. So that's one reason why it's never too early to start. The other reason it's never too early to start is because it's so easy to enter into the real estate, realm, that there's little to no money required to do it. You can literally go knock on your neighbor's door and ask them if they'd like to sell you their property. So it's very low, barrier to entry. The questions we have to ask ourselves is, are we willing to put in the work to do it? See, there's the saying, time is money, is totally accurate. So if I have lack of time, it means I have to have more money to have the equivalent success of someone who does have money. If I have a lot of money but no time, then I need someone with time. See, they play a really good part, in an equilibrium, right, to each other, to make sure that, there's an even balance between how much time you have to dedicate into, let's just say, cold calling or doing marketing, or speaking to sellers, or, selling to buyers. All those different things require presence of time. However, some of those things we can leverage someone else's time to do for us, but if we're going to do that, then we need money. See, so they kind of bounce back and forth. So we have a couple options here. We can either remove the excuses that we don't have money, because the fact is that most people do. They're just not, putting that money in the right place, not putting it to work properly. The next thing that we need to do is decide, well, if I really truly don't have time, because maybe I'm in a high, say if you are active duty, you're in a high tempo, high deployment ratio type, MOS or AFSC or what have you, then maybe I need to find someone with the time, and then I'll smarten up on the financials, and I'll provide the financials and leverage their time. So really in the end, there's really not many excuses at all, for us not to succeed in it. It's really the limiting belief that we have in ourselves that generally makes it to where we're not successful. I wish I could see if anyone's saying anything, but I don't know how. So, I'd love to answer some questions, if anybody does have any. I know there's not very many people in here. I wouldn't expect her to be on this holiday, but I wanted to make sure that I posted this out here while it was on my mind, so that I can put it out on YouTube and just let people know, like, there's no such thing as too early. And if it's later, let's just say like myself, I ended up not really getting started, not even that late compared to most people, right? I mean, I was 25, I think, when I got started, right? 25, I just turned 25. And, that's still young compared to a lot of people. And, I'm fortunate for that. I'm fortunate that I kind of got my head, straightened out and kind of thought about where I wanted to be at. Not that I wasn't heading in great directions, but I'm definitely way further along now, because of the actions I took and my ability to just kind of throw myself in there. But I never threw myself in there and utilized my time in a way that wasn't, like, smart, right? So let's talk a little bit about how it's never too late. It's never too late because of the fact that you have many different options that you can do in real estate. You could start investing into, 100-unit complexes. You could make a commitment to buy 10 properties a year. You can do a lot of different things in order to create financial wealth very quickly if you do it very smart. Most people just don't have the financial, what's the right word? Discipline to make it happen. If you made a goal for yourself, let's just say you're 50 right now, and you said, well, I really don't have that much for retirement. you could very, very, very easily make a goal for yourself to buy 10 rentals in the next 10 years, you know, at a specific buy criteria, and have more coming in from those 10 rentals than you would from, you know, your Social Security. So it's never too late. The only thing that you're lacking if you don't have time, which in this case, you know, it's later on in your life, so maybe you're lacking time in that perspective. So if you're lacking time there, what you need is more intelligence. See, the person that's starting early has time, right? Time in terms of from start to finish to gain intelligence, where they might not have time in the day, right? The benefit to being later on in your life, depending on your situation, is that usually you generally do have some form of money, whether it even be in a Social Security that you can pull out to get started. So you have that, but you might not have time this direction, and you might not have time this direction in a day. So it really just depends, but then you can leverage the financials, right? So you really just got to do an analysis on your day, and you got to do an analysis on what your goals are from a quarterly, you know, annual, 5-year, 10-year plan, you know, planning outward. And see, the other big mistake that a lot of younger guys have and gals is that they feel as though because they have a lot of time this way, you know, they're young and they have, you know, the 60 years on their life, they don't set those types of goals now, right? Because they think, well, I have time. When in all reality, one of the biggest reasons that we get into this is so that we can provide for our families. And if we're going to be doing this to provide for our families, then we don't have time. You know, we have that window. So you always want to look at a realistic point of view, a 5-year plan, 2-year plan, 10-year plan, and figure out what are my goals in there. You know, like for me, my plan is by the time I'm 30, I have a set goal. I have plans. I had a 5-year plan back when I first got out of the military. I had it written down in a quadrant. I read a book by Pat Flynn called Will It Fly? And when I read the book by Pat Flynn, one of the exercises in the very beginning was to put down a piece of paper, draw a quadrant, put finances, family in the 4 quadrants. And, you know, I was cleaning out my my office, you know, one of the boxes out from when we had moved forever ago. Hey, what's up, Eddie? I just got on rolling with REI SIF. I'm signing up today. For real, brother, I appreciate that, dude. REI SIF, man, it's changed my life and many of others, so I appreciate you joining the family, dude. You know, so if you do that kind of exercise with yourself, what was really interesting to me is that I had done that so long ago and I forgot about it. But I was speaking in the back of my mind everything I wanted. I knew what I was aiming for, so I wrote it down, and, you know, I found it. And it was crazy to me. I accomplished everything on it. I accomplished pretty much everything. Some of it changed. Like one of it was like I wanted to be a certain rank in the reserves. I ended up just getting out all entirely because my real estate company was doing so good. I realized that I didn't want the retirement from the reserves. I ended up meeting the rank I wanted as a government civilian. However, I decided not to stay as well because of that same reason. I said I wanted to be a better developer, but instead I hire developers now, so I kind of just did a level up. I said I wanted to be a better artist, not the best, but I have vision now with product. So there's so many things that were similar, but I kind of just, it ended up molding its way into the direction it wanted to be, but I was able to check those boxes because everything else financially fit. The only thing I was missing was that I never wanted to have car payments. I always just wanted to have decent vehicles that were paid off. So what I had done the next day when I seen that is I took my Jeep that I had just bought earlier that year, like 3 months ago, and I had spent $8,000 to get rid of it, right? So I went to the dealership because I had just bought it and I had a negative equity in it, and I gave them $8 grand to get rid of this I think it was 2018 or 19 Jeep Jeep Rubicon, right? Newest model, bells and whistles, the whole shebang. It was like a $65,000 Jeep. I was paying $900 a month for it. And I was like, why the hell am I doing this? So I got rid of that. And then 3 weeks later, roughly, give or take, once I found one, I bought a 2005 2500 diesel Duramax and paid cash for it, 17 grand. And then that was it. That was the end of it. You know, and now, boom, checkbox done. I said, I'm finishing it. All right, because I need to be able to move on to my next 5-year goals. So that's what I did. And, you know, now, you know, being I'm 20, I turned 28 in July. And you know, I have my 30-year goal. I have my goal by I'm 30. I've already accomplished, you know, most everything. I mean, I got to redo it, honestly, because I've already accomplished my 30-year goals early, and that's not to brag. But I need to refine it. I need to make sure that it's you know, perfect. And now more or less it's that rental goal. It's more of that, you know, passive income type thing, right? So I know that I have time this direction, but I really want to condense it down into that time that I really want to be in, because we're always trying to scale up. And so it's never too early to start because of that reason. It allows you more time this direction. However, what it really gains you is it gains you the ability, the earlier you start, to make your failures sooner, because you will fail, and you will fail, and you will fail over and over and over. You know, when I started building websites when I was like 12, roughly, give or take. My very first website was called My Geek Central. I was basically trying to do like back then it was like a YouTube version of like for geeks. You're supposed to go online and like post your videos on how to build computers and like do geeky stuff. And it was terrible. It was it was not good at all. It looked like trash, you know, but I had the vision that I wanted to, like, you know, connect people together. You know, it was really my thing. I wanted to connect people together, and I wanted to allow, you know, people who didn't socially fit in a lot of other places, a place to speak where they like enjoyed to speak. And you know, that kind of fell by the wayside, and I continued on. I ended up creating another you know, company called Beginner CrossFit Workouts, where it was like CrossFit products and tutorials and stuff like that. They ended up being a YouTube channel and stuff. I tried an outdoors brand. I tried so many different things, you know, and I failed and I failed. But hey, I learned some marketing along the way. I learned, you know, how to speak with people better. I learned how to build LLCs. I learned a lot of different stuff. So don't be afraid to start, like, and using your ambitions. Like, start doing stuff. And if it's later on in life, don't be afraid to get going. You know, Colonel Sanders was what 63 or 65 when he started KFC. You know, there's so many situations out there that prove that it's never too late and it's never too early. So I would say, if you have something set in your mind, don't be irrational. Don't just be like, oh yeah, I want to sell popsicles for my life, and I'm gonna quit my job that I pay for my, you know, pay my family's bills with, and make a popsicle stand. That'd be a silly idea. You know, I didn't leave my W-2 until I was making, you know, quite a bit of money in real estate. At the time, it was I wanted to make more in a month than I was in a year in my W-2, and I accomplished that for 3 months straight, and then I switched out. I said, I'm done. That, and there was an experience I had when I was buying a property that played a huge part in that. But that's for another story, which I have told in other videos. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's kind of like what I wanted to express. You know, it's never too late. It's never too early. Just get out there, do your thing. It's specifically kind of for those, you know, those military guys that feel like they're trapped. You know, they feel like, you know, they have to re-enlist. Trust me, you know, I was there, and then I got out, and then I found out we were pregnant, and I didn't know what to do with myself, you know. So, you know, just leverage your time properly. There is time, you know, even if you are on like a swing shift, mid shift. It doesn't matter what kind of, you know, job you have. You know, I know guys that were, you know, operators that still built rental portfolios. It's what you're doing with your time. It's how you're leveraging it. What are you doing after, you know, the training days? How much effort are you willing to really put into it is really the question, you know, that you have to ask yourself. So, bro, I've been watching your videos for the past week. Can't stop, bro. The content is good. I appreciate that, Eddie, man. Thank you, man. So, you know, that's all I really wanted to say. YouTube doesn't really like super long content, even though I just posted like a 3-hour video replay of a webinar I did the other day. But, you know, I just want to put that out there is just push for your ambitions. If you guys need anything, reach out. Entrepreneurship it's a roller coaster, right? And, you know, if you're going to jump all in with both feet, then it's even more of a roller coaster. But you don't have to necessarily do that. Don't look at other people's, you know, ambitions and make them your own. Figure out truly what yours are, you know. Figure out, do I really want to leave my W-2, you know, and be full-time? Because you don't have to. There's communities out there like the W2 Capitalist, one of my buddies out of Pensacola here, that runs that, and I know a lot of people in his mastermind, and those are good. You could do it with a W2. If you're trying to jump out just because you don't like your job, then you're in the wrong environment, not the wrong job. It's the wrong question to ask, Eddie. It's not how big of a list do I need to keep 2 VAs busy. It's how much revenue do I need to be making to have and need 2 VAs, and how much data is really required to need 2 VAs. You should do it the opposite way first. You should figure out how much money you make off of a deal and scale up, not scale up before you even do inconsistent deals in the respective data, right? So first understand the data, and then reverse engineer that. We're going to be covering that in the auto lead gen challenge though. What's up, Meat? How's it going? Yeah, I'm really excited too, man. You have a 1K budget a month, or you have a 1K budget total? I need to start smoking my cigar, man. Okay. Then 2 VAs you're not gonna be able to afford, number one. Two VA is going to cost you about $1,300 a month. Okay, so at $3 an hour, maybe it's roughly about $1,000 a month, but why spend the other $500 if you don't have to, if you don't understand the metrics? Okay. Depends on a lot, man. I mean, if you're joining REI SIP, then I'd recommend just watching through the onboarding videos and understanding the data piece of it first before you make any decisions with that. You don't want to spend money just because there's no need to spend money to do trial and error when the answer is right in front of you, kind of thing. There's no reason. I only have one cold caller. What market you in? Yeah, Meat. You don't need no 10K prospects, not leads. Bro, you in DFW? Hey, you got to hit up my boy Armani. Gosh, I wish it would stay up with the chat. Come on. Eddie, hit up my buddy Armani. That Armani guy. If you don't know him, hit him up. Tell him I said yo. I was just texting him before I went live. Question, I'm doing something wrong if I'm at $1,700 budget, pulling 10K lists per month, using a VA. Yeah, dude, you're all too far, man. Meat, man, you're all, no. You can't be doing that, man. You ain't got a deal yet, and you're pulling 10,000 prospects a month. I mean, are you skip tracing all 10,000 of those every single month? Hold on, guys, I can't see anything. Which sucks is when I put this on, now I can't see because of my protective screen, but maybe I can make my screen brighter. It's as bright as it can go. yeah, you're blowing money. You need to pull that. You need to pull that shit back. I'm sorry, I forgot I'm on YouTube. You gotta pull that stuff back. That's bad, man. Go on, baby, go inside. Sounds like you need REI Sift too, man. The auto lead gen challenge. I think you said you're already in it, but yeah, you need that. Are you pulling it because you have prop stream? That's why you're like, I got prop stream, so I'm gonna pull 10,000 and skip 10,000 every month. Yeah, it's wrong, man. It's okay to pull it, just if you have leftover, but you gotta do that in the right way. You gotta think about what the data is. Think about when it changes. Think about all those types of things. Like, how often does high equity data change? What is my real budget? How much does it really take to get a deal? Like, you only need one, right? You need one person to get a deal. So you gotta think of that in the right way. Okay. All right, y'all. I don't want this to go too long, but if you have questions, you have anything I can help out with, comment below. Let me know. I'll answer them. I'll help out. Hit me up on IG, Tyler Austin Original. If you're not an REI Sift user, you sleeping. REISift.com. Links of everything is down in the comments below, or the chat, or whatever the hell it's called, the description. Go check out my most recent video. I promise you that most recent video, if you've never got started before, between my 100K one, my $350 to make a six-figure business one, and that webinar replay, guys, that's it. That's all you need. Like, seriously, I promise you, I'm not holding back on that kind of stuff. I'm literally just giving you guys content, and then we have the weekly masterminds at REI Sift. So just remember, it's never too late. Even if you're failing, you will fail. In fact, an auto lead gen challenge at REI Sift, we even say, one of the third videos that I talk about is like how marketing is failure. That's all it is. It's trial and error. So you fail, you fix. You fail, you fix. You look forward to failure so that you can learn how to succeed. Okay, so there's no such thing as true failures. It's always insight on success. So just keep pressing forward, and always remember, we're all working towards prosperity. So continue pushing on, continue, working with people, continue surrounding yourself with the right people, and you'll find prosperity, whatever prosperity means to you. If you guys haven't heard, also, I have a podcast that I'm starting called Allies to Prosperity. There's the song that's out, so you guys should totally go check out the song. It's the very first episode. It's like technically episode half. And then the very first episode is my thoughts on prosperity and my kind of, what I want the podcast to be. So definitely go check that out on iTunes and Spotify and whatnot. And there'll be some interviews starting to launch out on that here pretty soon. So be sure to subscribe to it. That way you guys get notifications on when those interviews get launched. If you guys have anything, again, comment below. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Be safe out there, and let me know if you need anything. Peace.